Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you beautiful faces back to the channel. Now, for today's video, we are going to be taking a deep dive into my personal favourite opening. It's the only opening you're ever going to need with the white pieces, and that is, of course, the Scotch opening, okay? It's absolutely wonderful. It's so attacking, it's so dynamic. You play for the centre early on. It's everything you could ever want from an opening. There's so many traps in it, and I'm going to be taking you through all of this in today's video. So I'm going to be showing you 3 games that I've played in the Scotch opening, talking you through my thought process, the ideas behind the moves, how it transposes into a middle game and an end game, and of course I'll show you some absolutely disgusting wins along the way. So if you do enjoy, smash a like, subscribe if you are new. Let's jump straight into this, people. Okay guys, so game numero uno. Of course we have the white pieces, otherwise you can't play the Scotch. And basically the Scotch starts e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and then in this position we play the move d4. So like I said, we're just trying to battle for the centre immediately, okay? And you might be thinking, well, black can surely just take on d4, and absolutely they can, and that's exactly what my opponent does. They take the pawn, and then we recapture with the knight. Okay, so we're still battling for the centre here. We're much more developed than our opponent. As you can see, we have a pawn in the centre still. Our opponent doesn't. 9 times out of 10, what you're going to face is the knight recapturing here, okay? But that's not what we're going to look at in this first game, because my opponent played the move d6, which is all still theory. This is completely acceptable. But the reason that the engine doesn't like this so much, you can already see it starting to creep up for white here, is because you completely block in your dark square bishop, right? So you're sort of hindering yourself from developing at some stage. So it's a little bit uncomfortable for black here, okay? So in this position, I just go knight to c3, just developing more pieces into the game. Remember, if they do take this knight at any point, it's not an issue because my queen can, of course, just recapture, right? So there's really no issues here at all. My opponent plays knight to f6. I go bishop to c4. You always want this light square bishop to be as active as possible, okay? There's something called the Scotch gambit, which we're not going to look at in today's video, but let me know if you do want me to do a deep dive into it, where after they take the pawn on d4 at the start, you just ignore it and you just develop your bishop to c4. That's how powerful this bishop is. You can afford to go down material early on to ensure that this bishop attacks the f7 square, okay? It's so crucial this bishop comes out to c4. We then get bishop to e7. I then take, my opponent recaptures, and here I'm just sort of thinking, right, you know, we're 7 moves in, and I've already created some imbalance for my opponent, right? I've already got something I can target, and that's these double stack pawns. They're really uncomfortable for my opponent. Definitely something we can look to exploit in this game. I then play bishop to e3. We get h6. I lift my queen, because whenever your opponent gives you a hook, you know, it's never a bad idea to target it, especially if they short castle, because this pawn would be pinned to the king, so there's nothing this pawn can do. And if I sack a bishop and they lose both of these pawns, it's going to be Spaghetti-O time, right? So bishop e6, I go bishop to d3, knight goes to g4, I lift to bishop f4, to bishop f4, like that's the name of the square. I am so stupid sometimes. g5 attacks my bishop, so I drop back to g3, okay? All the best moves, all beautiful stuff. Bishop to f6. Now, this is clearly my opponent saying, if you long castle, I'm going to take your knight, okay? And I'm going to bring my rook over to the b file, and you're going to be in a spot of trouble. So I don't long castle, I play h3, kicking the knight away. They go back to e5, and then I play the move f4. Now, I was actually streaming when I played this game, but the reason this is given as a mistake is because after takes, let's say bishop recaptures, there is a check, okay? There is a check on h4, which stops me from castling, so a little bit annoying, a little bit frustrating that I didn't see that, but I just thought, I'm chasing imbalance, okay? I just want to make my opponent's structure as weak as possible. They opt to actually take on d3, okay? They take my light square bishop, so I just recapture. Then they pick up this knight, and then I recapture yet again. Now, very important to note, my queen is currently hitting their rook, okay? So as much as you would like to take here on f4, you actually can't. So obviously my opponent does that. Like, the Scotch is so tricky, man. I mean, obviously, 9 times out of 10, they're not just going to completely hang this. But the amount of imbalance we had already, just from such a simple opening, is absolutely mwah, chef's kiss, I must admit. So they take, I obviously just take and give a check, and now the game's over, right? I mean, bishop h4 check, they block, I take the queen, rook takes, and then I give another check, pick up a pawn, rook g8, so I just take the bishop and take the rook. My opponent resigns. I just thought I'd start with a little, you know, icebreaker of me just absolutely doing unholy things to my opponent, right? And that's what you get in the Scotch. You get beautiful attacking chess. I cannot recommend it enough. But you beautiful people, game number 2, a little more theoretical, if you will. Less of my opponent just blundering everything. Obviously, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and d4. I'm going to drill this point home to you, because if you don't get to this position, you can't play the Scotch, okay? So you got to at least get to d4. Again, my opponent takes, so I recapture. And here my opponent plays bishop to c5. This is known as the classical variation, so you'll notice I'm showing you lots of different lines in these games. Very important you know all of them, okay? So this is known as the classical variation. Now here, there's a couple of moves, okay? You can play knight to b3, which looks insane, right? Just going back, this is known as the Potter variation. I think Gotham Chess, this is one of his first like huge videos, the Potter variation, because he made like a Harry Potter thumbnail. It was massive, okay, around lockdown time. Not going to plug his video though, I feel like that doesn't really do much, you know, I'm not sure he needs my viewers. But yeah, so knight to b3 is the Potter variation. I like to go bishop to e3, okay? In fitting with this classical variation, my knight's attacked twice, so I just defend it again. You know, I don't want to move my knight too much in the opening, so I go bishop e3. And you might be wondering, well, hang on, queen f6 looks absolutely terrifying, right? And it does, and you can just play the move c3 and be absolutely fine here. And this just, you know, you just continue this classical variation. But guys, let me show you something here. You don't have to play c3 here, and you might be wondering, what the hell is the other move? It's knight to b5. This is known as the Blumenfeld attack. It's very, very famous, okay? A very famous attack, and it's one of my favourite openings at the minute. You'll see that the engine isn't the biggest of fans, but it is still equal, I swear to you guys. I would never lie. This is all theory. Black cannot stretch an advantage here and win the game. So the Blumenfeld, a more than reasonable opening. 9 times out of 10, they're going to take this bishop. You're just going to recapture. You have these double stacked pawns. But, you know, Black also needs to be very careful of this fork. So it's so difficult for them to play here. My opponent opts to play bishop b6. Which, of course, blunders the game away completely, because I can take the bishop. They recapture. My opponent opted not to recapture, okay? I was going to say, like, even if they recapture with the pawn, I then just play knight c7, forking the king and rook, right? I forgot my opponent takes on b2 here, which I guess they're looking for some counterplay, okay? Some danger levels. They're thinking, right, if they're going to attack me, if they're going to win my rook here, I got to go and win their rook. But I have the move knight c7 check, okay? The king goes over, and then I play the beautiful bishop c5 check. Okay, a little intermezzo, if you will, stopping my bishop from being taken. So it's no longer hanging, right? My opponent blocks with the knight. I then just lift my knight so that they can't take my queen. They move their rook over. I play knight to b3. Queen gets out. Bishop to d6. I was so proud of this move. Just look at this. This is absolutely vile. So what it does is I attack the queen, okay, on this diagonal. But I also see their rook through my knight. So if this knight ever comes over here, discovered check, you know, there's some danger in the position. Queen e4 check, I block with a bishop, just developing yet another piece into the game. Queen takes on g2, so now they're going for my other rook. But guys, it's not an issue. We go bishop to f3. They lift. I then chase this queen down, okay? Queen f5, rook g1, knight e5, bishop g4. I'm just constantly on the attack here. They take, I take with the queen. My opponent queen trades with me, but it's just completely losing for them. I might only be up, what am I up? 1 piece, but they've got loads of pawns, so I'm at 1 point of material. But after f6, rook e4, how do you hang on to this knight? The answer is you can't. The engine wants b5 here. You get king f7, I take the knight, they go to g6, I long castle, looking to bring my rook into the attack. We get b5, rook g1, king f5, and knight d4 checkmate. Guys, you gotta learn the Blumenfeld, okay? It's one of the most attacking openings there is in chess, and it's so dynamic. Black will think they have counterplay, like by threatening to take on b2 and looking to win a rook. Where is it? Let me find it. They're not meant to go bishop b6 here, by the way. They're meant to actually just take. I think they have to give a check here on h4. e4, yeah, it is this, and then you go g3, they pick up this pawn, threatening your rook, and you take, okay? The king comes over, and you actually, I mean, you can take, but you also have knight c3 here. Do you know how insane this is? This is all just prep, this is all theory, and then you take, and also, like, even if they were to, let's say, take here, well, this is just very, very bad because they hang their queen, right? So that's why you can't do that, for anybody wondering. So they take the rook, you take their rook, and then I think it's like knight f6, I want to say, is the continuation. And then we go, like, to get our queen out. I think we go to queen d6, right? Threatening some stuff here. You get long castled. It's insanity, guys. So that's game number 2, the Blumenfeld, my favourite personal variation of the Scotch. But ladies and gentlemen, game number 3 against Slip My Honey. Swiftly moving on. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4. Okay, still drilling it home. They take. I take. And my opponent here plays queen e7. I have so many questions, right? Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know why they did this. I then go knight c3 because, you know, I need to defend this pawn. They take, I take, and then they go c5. I just drop back. Knight f6, bishop c4. Like, I don't know what my opponent's doing here. Queen e5. Again, I'm not sure what their ideas are. Bishop d2. I long castle. Look at my development compared to my opponents. You see how one mistake from them playing queen e7 meant I could just develop all of my pieces infinitely quicker and get my king to safety. All that's left to do is bring this other rook to the centre or start pushing my h-pawn, right? Like, it's so easy. They short castle. I start pushing my h-pawn. I drop the queen back. d6. f3. And now I'm just going to launch a storm up the king side of the board, right? I'm just going to throw these pawns at them. I trap their knight. So I just win the knight. I trade off the queens. And now I'm up a knight. I mean, it's just a case of trading everything off and just whittling it down to a very simple endgame. So I go bishop d3. They play b5, so it's not so clear still. They do still have some counterplay. You got to understand, I can't see the eval bar during these games. I mean, obviously, intuitively, I know I'm doing much better here, but it's still not as clear as I'd like. So I go knight f6. They take. I take their light squared bishop first, and then take their dark squared bishop. So now I'm just up a full bishop. I shouldn't have any difficulty at all converting this, especially because I'm just picking up all the pawns. And after rook a6, my opponent resigns. Like, guys, it's so simple. At no point, right, did I deviate from theory, and it set me up perfectly into the middle game. Okay, so just stick to the theory. Your opponents are going to make mistakes, and you're going to be there to pounce. Look for your checks, your captures, your attacks. Remember, it's such an attacking opening. If you think there's a tactics, think there's a tactics. That deserves a dislike, I'd understand. If you think there are tactics, just take a moment, have a long, hard look at the position, and try and work it out. But guys, the more you study it, the more you game review it, it's just going to become second fiddle to you all. So guys, if you did enjoy this video, smash a like. I will come and kiss you all. Actually, I'm not going to do that, okay? But please do subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Stick around. We upload daily videos. Get out of here. Goodbye.